All right, welcome. Thank you all for coming to today's training session. We're going to go really fast. Come around this way, ladies. We're going to go really fast, and we're going to cover three main points. Now, what you're going to probably realize as we go through it, a lot of the information that we say in the first section, business to government. Welcome, come on in. Welcome. A lot of the same things I talk about as far as creating infrastructure for marketing and sales that I cover in section 1, you can utilize those same kinds of things for section 2 and 3. Okay, they're the same basic principles. And if you build it right, it'll allow you to market your products and services if it makes sense to different entities. So first, I'm Will Holmes, by the way. I think I actually know pretty much everybody here. This event is I'm the facilitator, but it's hosted by the Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce. Here's a quick commercial. Breakfast with the Mayor is happening this Thursday, so if you can make it, please try and attend. It should be very informative. You can hear directly from the Mayor of Baltimore and see what he has planned for the next year or so as far as regard to business, and then other major topics like crime, education, etc. But on to the first topic on the agenda, business to government. So I started with government mainly because it is the most complicated thing ever, I think, as far as when you're trying to do marketing and sales. And normally people, I think, have an opinion that it's like the holy grail. If I can get a government contract, that's it. I'm set for life. And that's not really the case. I mean, if nothing else, you have a whole lot of people going after a little bit of money. And that's usually not good in any kind of market. With government, as you'll see on the agenda, the first thing I talk about is your 5-year plan and the story you want to tell. It's so easy to get distracted by all the different alerts you get. And so, for example, what I did was I put up some of the websites that you probably use. So if you're going to go after government contracts, FedBizOps, you should know about this one, FBO.gov. You can look up your NAICS codes. NAICS codes are North American Industrial Coding System. And what that is every single job in the world has a code. It's called a NAICS code. And so you can look up your particular NAICS codes and see what types of, we call them opportunities or contracts, would relate to your NAICS code. Okay? We can drill down as far as area and all that. So the thing is, though, if you sign up for alerts, you're going to get many alerts. And that's good. You should do that. But it's hard to manage dozens of alerts all the time. It's hard to manage all the alerts you're going to get. It's hard to manage all of the emails that you're going to get from the procurement offices. Then you still have to look through them and read them and see if you should even go after them. So it's very easy to get distracted and then not even take the time to read them thoroughly. Then to even write a proposal is a whole nother monster. Proposals can cost anywhere in time, weeks, and as far as money, if you have someone else doing it for you, you have a team, anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, $40,000, and you still may not get it. So I'm bringing these things up because I want you to understand that these are viable options for growing your business, and you should at least consider them if it makes sense. But you have to have a system in place. You really need to have a team, at least a virtual assistant to go and look through the alerts that come through, read them for you, give you a little synopsis. That's what we do. That's what I recommend. That's what I recommend for clients. At least that, so that you're not bogged down in doing that all day. So the FedBizOps is a great place to start. Only thing is, in all reality, if it's already on FedBizOps, it's probably too late. Because if it's there, if it's made public as far as a listing, let's say, so like for example, pH salmonella stereotyping assay requirement. I mean, so if it's already there, people have already had influence on it. People like me who maybe have a good relationship with that procurement officer, people have already put their input in. It may already be for somebody else. I mean, quite frankly, not necessarily, but often, right? People are doing what you need to be doing. Getting in touch with those procurement officers, getting in touch with those contracting officers, with those folks who are in that department, and helping to somewhat try and influence or give them information on these topics. So if it's already here, someone's already probably put in work, but it does not mean you shouldn't go after it. Because that's not the be-all, end-all. They still need to go out, it still has to compete, and you should. But you should know who the incumbents are on these projects. If you're really going to go after government contracts, it's not just understanding what's out there for you to bid on. It's who's the incumbent. You should try. We look on LinkedIn. We're trying to see if people are leaving the project. We can pick them up, put them on our project. I mean, it's really a lot involved. And you should also really consider that this is like a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year thing when you get into an agency. And this is after you've narrowed it down to the agencies you want. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot involved. And so what I want you to think about is your 5-year plan and what story you want to tell. So if you want to be the go-to for National Institute of Health or Department of Defense or Army, Navy, and Marines, great. That helps you should think about what story you want to tell in 5 years, and that helps you to kind of narrow down the contracts you focus on, and also helps you to build past performance. Past performance is very important to the government because they don't want to just take a risk on any small business. They want to know that, hey, you've done this before, so if we hire you, you're not going to mess it up. That makes sense? Okay. So when you're getting started, thinking about the 5-year plan, what do you want to be known as, specific agencies, so that's just federal. And I highly recommend if you have a product or service that you are thinking about how you can put in different packages and sell it to different people. Okay? So that's federal, and that's a whole monster in itself. State. Okay? So it used to be called Email and Marketplace. Now they call it EMA, Email and Marketplace Advantage. Okay? So if you go here to procurement.maryland.gov, if you haven't gone after state contracts yet, this is a good place to get started. It has a lot of the information you'll need, actually pretty much all the information you need, links to the different websites, places you can go and look for opportunities. If you are a small business, it's great to go after the MDOT certification. The MDOT, even though it's the Maryland Department of Transportation, it doesn't mean it's just for transportation contracts. It's really for any small business. You go through a certification process, and it says, and basically what you're saying is, these are my NACE codes, this is what I'm good at. And you go before a board, and they make sure that you actually can do the things you say you're going to do, and you have a decent enough process, you can support a contract. And that MDOT certification is free, doesn't cost any money, it just takes time. And also, usually most of the certifications that you're going to go after are usually asking for the same things: financial information. They want to make sure that if you're a small business, I think it's I want to say 1.3 million. I have to double check and see, but it's basically that you don't have, if you're a small business, that you don't have a whole lot of assets over, like, let's say millions of dollars in assets. They want to make sure that you're under 500 employees, that kind of thing. And so you just go through that process of getting certified. Now, there's different processes for the state, for different city governments, for the federal, but they give you a checklist, you follow it. I also recommend, this is also a good opportunity to get a virtual assistant on this too. When I started doing these myself, it took me years because I was busy running the company, okay? As opposed to a person like a virtual assistant or a certified or a dedicated admin person. What they'll do is they'll focus on it and probably knock it out in a week, okay? As long as you have your taxes done and things like that. And then, of course, with the city, you can go after minority certifications, women-owned business certifications with the state. But you should take a look at this and see if any of these things apply to you. The different certifications really just help give you a leg up when you're going after these contracts. So just see what should apply. I'm bringing these. I know I'm going very, very fast, but the purpose of this today is really just to make sure you have these on your radar. All right? It takes a long time to go through and figure these out. It really, really does. I want to make sure that you're thinking about federal, state, and local opportunities, and it's not just Baltimore City. Every single city in the state has a procurement office of some sort. They all buy things. So I want you just to really think about how can you get in with the city, with the state, Baltimore County, Eastern Shore, wherever. And also, if you are a woman or a minority-owned business, especially out in the western part of Maryland, where there's less of women-owned businesses and minority businesses that are going after contracts, they're desperate for you to come out there and pick up contracts. So getting alerts from the state is a good thing to do so you can see what's happening all around the state. Oh, okay. So, next on the agenda, I just want to bring to your attention, talk about NACE codes, website and marketing materials. So if you're going to market to the government, okay, and also if you're selling the same thing to the public, it's like different languages, okay? You should have on your website, you should have a page that's dedicated to government work. Like it should have your NACE codes listed. In fact, let me show you this. These are my old feedback. Mixing it. I mixed it on purpose. I thought I was being smart, but they say no, you should have a separate one. That's how I should do it. So if you see here, this is that they give you feedback. So if you see here, it's mixing. It's talking about all the different clients. I've got about 12 of these codes listed. Okay. So feedback I got from the SBA. Now, I loved it. I was like, oh, this is great. I was really excited about it. But the government said, well, look, you need one that's focused on us. We want to know your past performance in particular, not just listing all these different things to everybody else. We don't care about that. We don't want to see 12 NACE codes. We want to see your top 3. So I learned just like you guys do. And also, depending on who you talk to, you may get different feedback. Some procurement officers want to see more, some want to see less. The thing is, I say it a lot, and I'll say it later on in the thing. I sell cake to fat kids because fat kids love cake. I sell them what they want. If they want chocolate cake, I'm gonna sell them chocolate cake. I don't care. I want to make it as easy as possible for them to buy. So if they want 3 NACE codes, I'm gonna give them 3 NACE codes. I'll redo my flyers. I don't care. Right? I'm trying to get paid. So when you're doing your marketing materials and after you've narrowed down the agencies you want, they have small business offices. They have small business days. They have expos. Take your marketing material. You should also have what's called a capability statement. Everybody heard of that? Okay, good. So you should have a capability statement. You should have marketing materials you can leave. But you should ask for feedback. That's what they go to the expos for, to tell you. And so where that flyer may be good for, let's say, Department of Defense, but for Treasury, they wanted something totally different. So your marketing materials, you should have different versions. They should be living, breathing documents. You can change them anytime. Of course, it's more expensive to have different versions, but the whole purpose is to get contracts. So on your website, having a government page that's very clearly, this is for government. They can go on there. It's got maybe a picture of a federal building. You got information that's focused, talks about your NACE codes, your past performance, things in their language that they want to hear. That's focused maybe even on, if you go and you say, if you're focusing on, let's say, Department of Commerce, they have a forecast that you can go and read. You can see their things they're focusing on as far as for that year. You should take that language. If they have issues they're trying to fix, you should talk about the issues and how you can fix them. So it's giving them exactly what they're looking for. Does that make sense? This takes time and it's somewhat tedious, but this is the game. Okay? So,
do you have any past government experience?
So what I did before I got my first government contract with the Department of Defense, essentially I just used all my private work,
Okay.
and then I subcontracted. And the thing is, I don't care what logo I need to wear to get paid. I mean, quite frankly, and so if it's with the DOD and I have to put on, Jim Johnson Incorporated and I gotta go and wear his shirt, I don't care, right? So I would recommend one, using your past performance on projects you already have, but also networking with other government contractors. And in fact, that's a perfect segue. So when the government puts out, when they say, hey, we've got an opportunity, okay, for each opportunity, there's usually a pre-bid meeting or a meeting you go to, and they're talking about the contract, okay? Some people think, oh, I'm in this room with these other people going after the contract. These are my competitors. They can be. They can also be your partners. Because quite often small businesses don't have a lot of capacity, okay? And they think, oh, I'm going to get this. I'm going to be the prime or whatever. When I go to those things, I'm like, I want to be friends with everybody so everyone will pick me up. I just want to be a subject matter expert. That's really how we've been able to get more government contracts. If they know Will can do this, they bring Will on or bring his team on. That's fine with me. So to your question, if you can be the prime, the main person on their contract, awesome. Make sure you have the capacity to really do it. But if you're getting started using your past work and also getting on someone else's contract and subbing is great. Absolutely great. But here are some things you should definitely know. All right, first of all, anybody have a government contract yet or been on one? All right, so here's the side you don't hear about, okay? You need capital. You need money because government pays late like everybody else, sometimes later. And I remember I was expecting it in like 30 days, the first payment. And I think I didn't get paid for like 90 days. And, I was down to my last money. And I paid the team out as best I could. And unfortunately, that check came in. And that's a really, really big hurdle for growing companies, not having enough money to get through, till you get paid in those first 90 days. And so, especially if you don't have good credit, if you don't have any kind of money saved up, it's really, really hard to get credit lines and loans. It's just really, really hard. So when you go into these, if it's just you by yourself, even still, you've got mortgage payments or rent payments and things, or if you have a team and they're expecting to get paid on time, really, really, really consider how much money you need to have to cover at least 90 days, 120 days before you get paid. Okay? Very, very important. And people don't talk about that, but it's real. So, and along with that, you can create relationships with other companies. You guys can go on a contract together, create relationships. You could even, I've been on contracts where look, we're going to go on this together. You don't get paid till I get paid. And if they agree to that, fine, then you're okay. But usually people don't agree to that. They want to get paid. They have to get paid. That's normal. So, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. But I want you to know these things so you can be ready. Also, I don't know if you guys know, getting capital is hard for starting companies. And there are some companies that will work with you, especially if you have what they consider it a vehicle to pay back the loan. So if you can show them if you've received a government contract, they're like, oh, okay. There's also companies that will. You guys have heard of factoring? You ever heard of that? All right. So if you can avoid this, try to. But a factoring company will say, look, you have an invoice out there for $50,000. All right. We're going to give you. When they pay the 50, we're going to take that, but we're going to give you 40. So they're going to keep $10,000 or a certain percentage, and it may not be that high. Maybe they'll keep $7,000 or whatever, right? But they'll keep that, but you get your money so you can pay your team on time. So it's almost like a cash advance, really, in a sense, and with a really high fee. The thing is, most people, their margins are only like 10, 15, 20%. And that's, but people will do it because they're like, okay, I'm going to do it to pay my team. I'm in a desperate place. And they do it. So if you have to, hey, I've been there. I've done it. I've had to. But I don't have any regrets. except maybe I wish my credit had been better when I first started my company, or I hadn't burned up my 401k getting started. I mean, those are my only real regrets, but it is what it is. We're here. But I want you to understand these things so you can know. Also, if it's not factoring, other companies have called purchase order loans. Same kind of thing. Maybe the rates aren't as high, but they'll say, well, look, here's the invoice you have going out, or you're expecting. We'll do our due diligence, make sure they're a legitimate company. And that $10,000 here's the $10,000 now. When they pay, they'll pay us. Same basic kind of idea, but different companies specialize in different things. And I want you to know about it in case you get in trouble. Okay? Because credit is hard to get and it's tight. So, but I want you to know these things so you can be prepared. So then, bid no bid process, bid no bid pursuit process. What does that mean? So I'm going to ask you guys to think about, kind of refer back to your 5-year plan. Where you want to be, because that's going to help you to understand what to turn down, what to say no to. Okay, because you're going to get especially if you go after federal, state, and local contracts, you sign up for alerts based on your NACE codes, you're going to get all types of alerts. And it takes so much time, even just to even go through them in a day. And often it's almost like people go on vacation and it gets quiet, and they come off vacation and they just pop, 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 pop. And so you're going to get so much. You need to have a process inside of your organization, and we call it a bid no bid process, where you say, look, okay, so we're only going to focus on these agencies. Let's say, Army, Navy, Air Force, or whatever, right? Or these offices. And we're only going to do the ones that have these NACE codes, basically fall within our we do. And then we're only going to focus on ones that maybe have these specialties. And we're only going to focus on the ones that maybe have this much, maybe require this many people. So, and all those things help you to figure out, because if you go after one that's too big and you don't have the team, you don't have the capital, right? And you're wasting your time. If you go after some that are too small, the amount of money you get my point. It just helps you to really figure out and narrow it down. So when you get an opportunity, and sometimes you get opportunities, really the best ones are the ones that come from people you know. Well, guess what? This hasn't hit the street yet. Boom, boom, boom. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, thank you, right? You bring it back to the team, and it's like, but yeah, we may have an in on that, but that's not in the story we're trying to tell. Like, we're the go-to for Army, Navy, Air Force. Oh, and that's just to help, right? I mean, that may not help you in your past performance in the story you want to tell. So that bid no bid mentality, or that process, helps you to figure out what you're going to go after and where you're going to really spend your resources. Then, once you figure out yes or no, then it's a matter of writing a proposal. Proposals can be so expensive. I mean, just so either A, in your time, where you're taking 2, 3, 4 weeks to write it, and then you're not doing something else to grow your company, or you're paying your team or a person $10, $20, $30, $40,000 to write a proposal for a contract you may not even win. So keep that in mind. But then second, think about ways to get around that, because you have to write proposals if you're going to do government work. So as you do them more and more, you're going to realize, okay, it's almost like a boilerplate, where it's like, they are asking for these same things. And then you start to pull, like, okay, the technical part will be different on each one, but certain things are going to have certain forms. They're going to ask for all at the same time. It takes a while to kind of build a little library up for you. So, but take the time to do it. Then resumes. You're going to need resumes of people. And so having those resumes, having those relationships with people is going to be important. Like, look, if this comes through, can you do, all that, and having a really good idea of how much they cost. Okay? The cost is so, so, so important. People get in trouble where they say, oh, I'm going to have an engineer on this at $50,000 to try and come in on a cheap bid, but engineers don't cost $50,000. They may be 2 or 3 times that. And then you try and find an engineer to do it, and then you can't complete the job, or you're taking a loss. That's bad, obviously, right? So, but all these things, I know this is a lot, but this is the game. These are things you have to have on your radar. So as you go after government contracts, you should be thinking about it. Certifications and requirements. So like for what I do, like what I'm doing right now, talking, that's really pretty much most of what I do and write things. And, you know, we don't do any of the technology anymore because it's the hackers are out of control. We just can't, I couldn't keep up. And so we did very, very light technology in the beginning when I first got started. Now we don't do any at all for the government. We'll do some for other agents, not even agencies, for private. It's easier, but we can't do data management or uh, even data cleanup anymore for those bigger organizations because it's just we can't beat the hackers. I mean, it's not my small company. So the reason I'm saying that is you should be thinking about your liability, what you can really handle, what certifications you have, also what certifications are needed by that agency for these kinds of projects. And you'll see as you get these alerts, okay, I need a ISO 9000. So you're going to see, okay, I need someone on my team to do these things. But it takes time to kind of gather this information and figure it out. I want you to be aware. I want you to look for it. Also, of course, like certain contracts and opportunities require bonding and certain levels of insurance. They'll say that. So as you start to see those on these contracts, start to make relationships with bonding agencies and things so you can have that in place. If not, you're not going to be able to get it. Or, I was saying when you go to these these pre-bid meetings, make relationships with those companies because they may have it. You can go in as a sub. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier. All you have to do is your job, and you just worry about getting paid. Okay. Next, RFIs, requests for information. So often, what the federal government or the state government, they'll put out what's called like an RFI, which is like, hey, we're thinking about doing this project. Okay. Let's see if people have the expertise out in the world, especially if it's like two small businesses, will be great because then that means that we can have a set aside or have a percentage that's for small businesses. Let's see if any small businesses have this capability or if there are any companies out there who actually have this capability. It's important it takes a lot of time, but it's important to, especially once you've narrowed down your agencies, to look for RFIs that come out. I use RFIs to build relationships because if I'm responding, so if they say, okay, look, we want to know who's in the market that knows how to do this, I keep responding. I'm like, oh, this guy Will Holmes, he must know what he's doing. Or actually, let's read what he wrote. Oh, he knows what he's doing. And it just takes a lot of time. Now they will get that RFI and then they'll say, oh, okay, we weren't even thinking about this stuff, right? Then that's a great opportunity to follow back up, build a relationship with those contracting officers, say, look, if you guys need help writing this, we can help. Right? But this takes time on your part, but it helps you to build a relationship. So then when the RFP comes out, request for proposal, you've had an influence on that. And then because when it goes to here, so the folks who had influence on this pH salmonella serotyping, they're waiting for this to come out because they've even said, well, look, you're going to need a company that at least has this much capacity, which hopefully matches their level of capacity. And so they've had a way to influence it. Now, I don't actually know, of course, if there's a company that did that or not, but that's usually how it works. And so they've helped to write to make sure that, because they're experts, the government folks may not be experts, they've helped to write this, and they're hoping that it comes out and they can go and bid on it. Does that make sense? You should do the same. Okay. Long-term relationships and building, and I already mentioned the cash flow issue. The government game is a long-term game. It is long-term. You have to understand that it's going to take you, in most cases, years to build a relationship. It's usually not. I mean, some people get lucky. First time, oh, got a contract. Happens rarely. Most times, people take years. And in fact, I'd probably say in most cases, people don't get a contract. I mean, that's the reality. Most people don't. So I wanted you to keep that in mind as you build out your strategy. That you need to have other things happening. Okay, you need to have other ways of bringing money because the government game is a long-term game. Also, you have to understand that it's not like you can just. There's different times of the year. So let's say, like I think 18. It was it like February, March is a good time to start talking.
February, March, October is federal.
Federal.
Beginning of the federal year.
Yep.
So most of the bidding and all of the stuff start looking at now February.
You should have a really good thank you, Nadine. You should have a really good idea of your if you're going after federal or state, you should understand their budget cycle. State is July. Thank you. If you understand their budget cycle, then you know when you should be talking to them so you get in their budget. The government only buys things that are approved, right? And for the most part, right? Now there's formal and informal bids. The formal bids, that's these. Over a certain amount. Informal, let's say for state, it's like under 50,000. I think they can informal bid where they can buy things with credit cards. So, and that's not a long, necessarily drawn out writing a proposal and all that. I mean, you may have to write a small one. We've gotten those, and in fact, they just chose us. Like, I didn't even write a proposal on a few of those. I just showed up, and they paid like on a credit card, like right away. It was amazing. It was beautiful, but it was under 50 grand. So I actually go after more of those than anything else because I don't have to put up all that money for a long proposal and all that. So people usually say, well, Will, how do I find where these are? Because they're not listed. The same way, where is that? Contact information. So Sarah, she probably works in an office. She's a contracting officer in this big one, right? She probably works in an office with Miss Mary, who handles the little ones. So what I do is I'll call Sarah. I say, hey, Sarah, I saw this, blah, blah, blah. We're actually interested in more of the smaller proposals, the smaller opportunities. Do you handle those in your office? Now, she may be mean and say, no, right? But she may be nice, or if you call a few times and she's like, well, okay, Miss Mary handles that. Here's her email. Here's her phone number. And then you start talking to Miss Mary. She's like, oh yeah, baby, I've got. That's how the conversation goes. At least with me, it's like, oh yeah, we buy this and we buy that. It's not a big one. It's it's just. I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Well, and then she'll tell me what I need to do. And then usually I see them go on my website. It's funny when I see it because like it tracks who like on your website. Well, Homeland Security went on my website. I remember the first time I saw it, it freaked me out. Like, what are you doing on my website? But I had already called, and so it started the process. So the thing is, this is how it works. But it's a long game, and there's definitely no guarantees. Okay, does this make sense, though? All right, let's keep going. So, talked about their budget process. Oh, payment terms. All right, so pay attention, ask questions about payment terms, because, and also be real. I want you to just have this understanding, even though it says you're going to get paid in 30, 60, 90, 45 days, expect it to be late. I remember my first time was like, but it says, they're like, well, it's not here, and that was it. I mean, they hadn't cut it yet. No, I mean, so it was just, I was stuck. So no matter what the payment terms are, be aware, obviously, so you can, but don't bank on it. Don't plan on it. You should have enough money for at least 30, 60, 90, I would even say 120 days. I know that's a lot of money, right? And I don't usually even have that. I definitely don't usually have that much money on hand. But as a consultant, that's why I advise you to do, because you can get stuck and get jammed up in a bad way if you don't have access to capital. If it's your friends, your family, whatever, sell something. Often I've had to just, okay, I'm having a sale. I'm taking on some coaching clients. I'm selling it for cheap. Do what you got to do. But I want you to know in advance so you can know what to expect. Okay, formal and informal, we talked about that. Okay, strong marketing and follow-up. So and especially with government, you have to build relationships. With any relationship, it requires a consistent nature, okay? And so I'm going to tell you a quick story that will help you to understand, because I'm going to refer to this later on. So there was a lady I was dating, okay? And so when I met her, I knew she was the one. In fact, I ended up getting married to her and having my son. But we got a divorce. But when I met her, I knew she was the one. And so what I did, I was in love. And so that first month, I was like, I'm going to take you away for the weekend. Took my little money together, took her to Waldorf Astoria. I went on the discount hotel website. It was like $300, most I ever paid for one night in a hotel, right? $300, got it. I was so excited. We got in our car, drove to New York. I was like, we're staying. I mean, and the thing was, the room had a window, but it faced a wall. So they gave me like the worst room, right? This was the one I could afford. We went there. We saw a show. Something I didn't want to see. I know that. I wasn't excited, but she was very happy about it. And we had a great weekend. Came back. That was January. February, Valentine's Day. Spent a lot of money. Set it out. March was her birthday. Set it out. Right. Great 390 hardcore days. Showing her. Right. April came. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, whatever you want to do, where are we going? I was thinking we can get some pizza, right? So we went pizza. Then we went to like the movies and regular, normal people things, right? That I could really afford. So about May, she's like, is something wrong? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, we were doing all these great things and now we're just. And so what I learned from that, even though like I was so disappointed, right? I made her expectation of a level of service up here. And then when I went to just doing, which are still good, normal things, she felt it. The service was different. You should do the same thing with your customers. You should manage your expectations. Now, instead, if I was smart, I would have had aha moments where it's like basic level of service, right? So they can be happy. But, oh, shoot, he took me to New York. Oh, shoot, he got me some flowers. Oh, shoot. And then that would have kept her probably half, well, maybe, I don't know, probably half. But the thing is, when I tell that to clients, and they're like, I get it. Because they realize that if you start off with a certain level of high touch, high volume, contact, whatever, they're going to get used to it. That's federal. I mean, so I'm calling Miss Mary, and all of a sudden I stop. Okay, because I got her laughing on the phone and everything and all that stuff, and I do a good job, but then I don't call her. And then I like, oh, Miss Mary, hey, what's going on? It's been like 6 months. And now it feels dirty, right? It's like, oh, I've just been using her to get these contracts, right? But instead, if I keep in touch, hey, Miss Mary, how you doing? Just want to check on you. I found it to be a lot better way to go. That same level of service with some aha moments keeps your customer happy. Does that make sense? Yeah. I learned that the hard way, okay? But it helps. I think it's a funny story. But it taught me. It hurt my little heart. But when I thought about it later, I was like, aha. So it did teach me something. So the reason I want to make sure you understand is that you should have a service strategy. So and a communication strategy. So how often you're going to talk to your contacts in these different agencies, how often you're going to follow up, how often you're going to respond to these different alerts that come out. All these things help you to one, build a relationship, but also keep a certain level of service. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So next, but how do you do these things, right? I highly recommend using technology. Now, there are some very expensive tools out there, like GovWin. You guys ever heard of GovWin? Very expensive. I think it's like $1,400 a month, something like that, $1,500. That's on the low end. But it sucks in all the data from federal contracts, makes it very easy for you to look, put in notes. It's like it's a CRM, right? Very expensive, very easy to use, but most people don't have enough money to get it. And that's like a couple $1,000 a month on the low end. You could pay $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year for it. But if you're a big company, that's nothing compared to you get one contract that more than pays for it, right? So we're a small company, smaller companies. So what I want you to understand is you still should have a really easy way to track your interactions. Because if you don't, everything's going to be stuck in your head. And I know you guys are all very young, but I'm getting older and I don't remember things anymore, right? So it's important that when you talk to Miss Mary, you have some kind of system of tracking that interaction. So you guys have heard of a CRM? Okay, you guys know what that is. So a CRM is most people don't, I don't even use it like I should. A lot of times it's like Friday, I'm going back and putting information in calls I had earlier. It's just, just being honest. So, but having a place to put that information where I can say, hey, I talked to Miss Mary, it's what we talked about. Or, and then a task management system where I say, okay, I talked to Miss Mary, I said I was going to send her my new capability statement. A task management system allows, I can either assign it to myself, other people on my team. And this is a great tool for really probably most businesses. And so, but that simple tool will allow you to duplicate yourself. So instead of it all being in your head, then you can have a person in your team, when they do business development, when they reach out, when they do anything in relation to that account, they can put those notes in. Does that make sense? Simple, simple, simple. You can get free ones that put up to like 250 names in there, like a capsulecrm.com. More robust, but very, very affordable, I think. Zoho, CRM.com. I use Zoho now. It's so much better. And it integrates with everything in my accounting, email marketing, Eventbrite, everything. But yeah, Zoho I highly recommend. And if you're super hardcore, you got lots of people and lots of money, Salesforce I think is definitely the Cadillac you can go after. But usually at this point, people will be thinking about, when I talk about business development, how do I find someone to do it for me? It's very hard to find people who can sell your products or services as good as you can. In fact, you won't. Okay, unless you're like really bad at talking to people, then maybe they can. Like if you're like just a really, like a really mean, nasty person, then you probably can find someone to sell it better than you can. But if you're a normal person that has a decent level of dealing with humans, right? You have a certain passion for what you do, a certain understanding that's greater than most other folks. And so I want to kind of save you the whole level of disappointment that you may feel or the expense. Like I've spent, I don't even know, at least $100,000 over the last few years, 4 years or so, in business development people that didn't work out. And so, but that was my fault. Some of it was putting people in places that I trusted them as a person. I knew that they would have my back. And they had maybe done sales, but they'd never done government, right? Or they didn't know how to do what I do. They knew how to sell, but not sell this. And a lot of like what I do is my conversion rates go up when I get in front of people and I talk to them. They realize, oh, Will knows what he's talking about. Sometimes, right? But they couldn't do that. And I would be in meetings with them and they're BSing, okay? I mean, they're being friendly and jovial and all that, but that's not what the client wants to hear. And so it always ended up being me doing most of the talking, and I was still doing a commission cut. So I want you to really just think about that when you build your team. Think about partnering with other organizations, maybe go after stuff together. If you're going to go get a business development person, make sure they have references and past performance of their own, so you can really see that they've actually been in the space where you're trying to play. They have connections. A good business development person isn't just a good salesperson. They should have connections. They should have been in the government before or been in the Department of Defense before. They were in the military. So when they come out, they already know people in procurement. They already know. So they're calling their friends, not trying to build relationships cold. Does that make sense? Because they can get really, 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 really expensive. And I've been through it and I've tried it different ways. And probably the best thing to do is just get people who are coming out of that agency or coming off of that project. That's probably the safest way to go. Okay? Or partner with someone and you guys aren't paying unless you get the contract together. All right, so that was a really, 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 really fast look at government. And obviously it doesn't tell you everything, but I wanted to kind of just put things on your radar. Okay? We got time? Good, we got time. Any questions on that? I know I'm going fast. Is this too much? Is it helpful at all? Okay. All right, good. So now if no questions, and also if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Please do. Yes.
All right, so, I'm on a client, my full-time job is at global development for a few large staffing firms. So, I met someone just in passing that has a small business, woman-owned business, where she's wanting to do contract work with the federal government and state local government. So she kind of brought me on to do that effort for a new division that we're starting. They're land development firm, that's their bread and butter, but they want to branch out and start doing something different. which is marketing and branding and communications, all good, right? So in my initial conversations with her, I was thinking, okay, if we have access to more information through WIN, that will assist with my efforts in collecting the data and the funnel, the pipeline, right? And then go from there as far as developing proposals. So she did that. She invested in the system. I'm managing the system. I'm getting opportunities to get started to public proposals. So now she's saying that, okay, she doesn't have time to actually do the relationship building that you talked to, and I've also advised her of. So she's now asking me to do some of that stuff, which I don't necessarily have a background in, but I work in a company where I'm familiar with how it all works. So, I just heard you share that you had opportunities to develop people that didn't work, and you shared some reasons why. Is there any other advice, because I don't really have that background, that you can offer to make some of that a little easier for you to start from the
I would strongly recommend. What agency is she targeting?
She really doesn't have a focus, better like in the federal space. It just has a focus more on the type of work. And I think based on we literally just started about a little over a month ago. So based on the opportunities that make this work for her, I think she'll be able to build a long-term strategy from that. But it's literally ground zero at this point.
So I would recommend. So I didn't. I was going to touch on this later on. So the federal procurement data system.
Okay.
And there's also another. I think it's USA.gov. But so one, you should definitely talk to her about narrowing it down to at least three, like no more than three agencies. Okay. I'd say, right? I go here sometimes to do some research and see what's coming up or what's been out there, what the government has been buying. And because, like, for example, I used to go after, like, before I really even knew about this stuff, I would go after the Small Business Administration, try and get some contracts, but they weren't buying what I was selling. They were only bought furniture. Like, that's really all they would buy, right? They didn't buy training and development. So you have to go and see what agencies are buying, what you're selling, okay? And have a history of doing it. Also, in each of those agencies on their websites, they have a forecast. Like it basically says, like, here's what we're going to do this year, okay? And also just again, and you should go there and look and see what they're trying to do. And if they're not buying what she's selling, then that's not the right agency, okay? Next, and this hasn't been as true lately as it was in the past years, because like under this administration, our president, the budget system has been kind of off, right? So it used to be, and it still is, but it's not exact. The president says, "Hey, I want to be here. Let's say I want to be in the Middle East, okay? And so in order to be in this area in the Middle East, I want to do this. People in the military, you guys tell me how much it'll cost for us to make that happen." And essentially from the bottom up, people create a budget, and they turn into the president. And then he says, okay, it's going to take me $10 trillion to do this, right? This is all the whole government gives us, right? So then it goes to Congress. And then Congress picks and chooses. They allocate money, not all of it, but, whatever they want to certain things. Then once it's to the agency, then it trickles down to different departments, et cetera. Okay. Understanding that process, then you'll know, like, for example, if she's going after stuff that President Trump doesn't want to go after, that's not a good idea right now. Right? So if he's making cuts in certain agencies, leave those alone.
Okay. All
right. So that's part of it, but definitely narrow it down. But then after you narrow it down, I would then go on LinkedIn and start to try and find people who worked in those agencies and try and get them on your team, because starting cold, that's going to be expensive for her, paying you, and then it's really best just to try and create relationships with folks who already have experience there. I mean, that's just the best way. Yes, sir.
It's helpful for them to focus on doing some self work first instead of trying to the bonds that are already in the
Oh, I agree, absolutely. I mean, once you narrow, to your point, once you narrow down your agencies and then you have a target, and this may take you a couple weeks to figure out, right? Then you get some relationships, at least start to make some relationships. Then once you get these alerts, you start going to pre-bid meetings, then you could start to make those connections to people who are actually going after it, the primes.
Yeah.
Then, then going after some sub work possibly. But yeah, I agree.
There's also, you can identify previous things like that. And once you see who's done in the past, then you can start, stalking their pages and stuff like that. And also reaching out to them, because if they got it in the past, it's likely when it comes up again, they're going to be making more opinion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
those are some of the things that we talked through, but it was just a question of who's going to actually do outreach and build those relationships. And now that I know that it's me, I feel like I need to, have an understanding of what that all entails in the best approach.
And LinkedIn, you know what? Anybody who's retired from the agency recently,
Yeah.
who knows? They may just be sitting at home. Who knows what they're doing, right?
Exactly.
Writing books or whatever, right? So reaching out to them, like, hey, you worked in that agency. We're trying to take them to lunch. A lot of the same issues that when they work there, you can get around it now because they don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
But then they're making phone calls. They know everybody's email. It's much better that way.
Yeah.
Much better. Because you starting cold, it's going to be expensive, and she's probably going to be really mad. All right. So now let's go business to business. So a lot of the same things we talked about, that same infrastructure, having a place to put your customer data and all that. Great. If you have that in place, doing business to business is even easier. So with business to business, the reason I say instead of a 5-year plan, a 2-year plan, because it's the government is kind of, for the most part, kind of stays the same in how you deal with them. But business to business, that changes every day. The economy has a dramatic impact on everybody every single day. So I usually recommend a 2-year plan and just being flexible. So with business to business, okay, so here's another great website to go and check out. Bureau of Labor Statistics. You guys seen this before? BLS.gov. So if you've written a business plan, you've probably gone there before, but it's a great place to kind of see. I always go here if I'm thinking about selling to a certain type of industry. How's the industry doing? Because if they're going down, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea to market them. Actually, it might be a great idea because maybe they have some kind of issue that I can fix. Okay, I can't fix everything, but I may be able to help them. So going to BLS.gov, you can run reports. You can see that gives you just some incredible information. You can see, like, let's say for example, how is the home care industry doing or health industry doing in Baltimore in this zip code? And quarter after quarter, let's say it's been going up. That's a good sign. It means there's, people are doing well, they're making money. So this kind of information helps you just kind of, because there's so many different industries you can go after, so many different companies. This is a great way to kind of see what's going on. Also, sometimes companies don't even know that their industry is shrinking. Like, they don't even know because they're just busy, they're day to day, and they're just like, sales are slow. They have no idea that it's slow for everybody. So you go to them with this, like, look, I've noticed in your industry, things are slowing down. They're like, oh, everybody's feeling it? I've had that conversation work for me many, many times. But this kind of information helps you to narrow it down. Also, simple things like Googling what industries need management consultant, what industries need home health care, where is there a shortage of? A simple Google search, someone probably in Inc. or Forbes magazine or something has probably done some research already and helps you to, save a couple hours and everything. So simple things like that can help you to narrow it down. But what I definitely have found is that you should have an idea of their needs. People will say to me like, hey, well, what's a simple thing to think about when doing business? It's really, what I always say is you find a need, you fill a need, you get paid. And that's a really simple overlook of it. But finding a need, all the steps involved with that, doing your research, talking to customers, is nothing better than actually talking to customers and just ask them what they need. So, and also with that, talk to people who can afford you. So it's sure we want to help people and all that stuff, right? I help people all the time, right? All the time. But not in my money-making hours. Money-making hours, I'm about this paper. I'm angry about getting this money. I'm very serious. So, but outside of that, I'll help people. It's all good. For you, you want to make sure you're selling to people who can afford you. And so having some filter questions, going out and talking to different business owners. People might say, well, Will, I want to work with, let's say, larger companies. Okay. So go on LinkedIn, figure out who these people actually in real life are. It's not just an office. It's Jim, and he's a procurement officer, or Jane, and she's a director. Then you stalk Jane online and see what board she's on or what group she's a part of. And then you go and you volunteer for those nonprofits, or you go and you join those boards, or you go and they're having an event, you buy a ticket and you go and you seek her out. And when you see her, it's not some crazy elevator pitch. Okay, I think people haven't because imagine, think about it. If I go up to you and say, "Hey, how you doing?" How are you? Right? Instead, so good salespeople have an elevator pitch, and they know what they're talking about. The best salespeople ask questions.
Just out networking. Mm-hmm. Money, no. Well, that's a hard question. The perfect client is an elderly person who wants to remain independent in their home, but dealing with some challenges, either health, mobility, things like that. So the decision maker usually is a female, a daughter or a daughter-in-law between the ages of 40 and 50. They're the ones that start the conversation about family. So.
I have a lot of clients, I think, possibly on that category.
Absolutely. Let's do
it. But my point is, and that's really what I say most of the time. I usually just go up and ask. She said actually she knew who I was in advance, right? Sometimes I get that. It's very rare. But usually they don't know who I am. And I'm just talking to them. And then after I get all this information out of them, I know their needs, then they may say, well, who are you? Right? Oh, well, I'm Will. I do this or do that. But my response is tailored to their need. They don't care if they're not in government. They don't care I do work in the government. But if they're a nonprofit, oh yeah, we work with nonprofits. We work with many large nonprofits here in the city. Blah blah blah. Do you know? And usually I was just like, hey, do you know so and so? Oh yeah. And I already know they know because they're connected on LinkedIn. So I've already done my research. I've already stalked Bianca. I already know all about her, right? So when I'm talking to her, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just building a relationship. So, but now I know what she needs. I already know all about where she works and the board she's on and everything like that. And so then when I follow, and also I do. Bianca, is it okay if I call you tomorrow? What's the best time to call? That's a long. What's the best number to reach you? I never just met. All right, look, we write that down. How about 2 o'clock? What time is it? 3. 3 o'clock? All right, so I'll call you 3 o'clock. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Can I send you a calendar request? All right, so what's your email?
B-Wise@homehealth.
I got an email or cell phone, right? Just by asking questions. But you have to be very intentional about that. It can't just be like, I don't know if she has kids. I ask her any of that stuff, right? I'm trying to get that meeting with her. So I'm very intentional, but it didn't feel like didn't feel dirty, right? It was nice. I'm smiling, she's smiling, everybody's having a good time. 3, 4, 5 minutes in and out. Does that make sense? But prior proper preparation allows that to go more smoothly, okay? So, and also having a plan. So once you've narrowed down your industries, okay, and you start stalking the people. And also, I can't reiterate it enough. These are people, okay? They're not companies. If you think about it like, oh, I'm going to try and get to Exelon, good luck. But if you're like, you know what, I'm trying to reach Frank Lewis, who's in charge of procurement, because then I can start asking people, do you know Frank Lewis? And I can see who is connected to, and I can start to ask people on LinkedIn for an introduction. Or I can see Frank is going to be a speaker at this event. I can stalk him and then walk up on him. But let me give you another $1 million tip right here. So for me, if I know I'm going to see them again, I try not to go up to people like that and do a cold introduction. Okay, I try not to. But if it's my only chance, I do it. If I can get a warm introduction, a good fella introduction. I don't know if you guys ever saw mafia movies, right? But if I say, hey, young, me, I introduce her a good guy. He's not a rat or a snitch or whatever, right? He's not going to turn us into the feds, right? That's how the mafia does it, but that's how it is in business. So when if I can get someone to give me, look, I need you to give me an introduction. Even if it's an email introduction, that's 10 times more valuable than a hardcore cold intro. It just is, because now other person's watching, they've already given, and you just got to follow up. Okay? So whenever you can be strategic and get a warm introduction, or shoot, if you can do a warm introduction before an event, then look, I'm going to be there too, right? Then you go up and you talk to that person. Then you skip the initial blah blah blah. You go right into talking about doing business. Does that make sense? But as you can see, different than government, right? Now that does work sometime, but that's after years in government. That's after years of having connections or years of working that relationship. Because then the same way you can ask for that introduction for business to business, you can ask for that government to government, agency to agency, procurement officer to procurement officer. But usually that doesn't happen until you've actually done some work improving yourself. Does that make sense? Okay. Next, website and marketing materials. So, say where you want to have a page for government. Now, let's say if your main specialty is business to business and all that, I mean, it's going to be language that's unique to that industry, things that they're going to be looking for. It's old technology now, but you guys know what keywords are? You guys know how that works. So you want to make sure that throughout your website, when people are searching for certain topics on Google, that you have those words in your website, right? And you have those words in your AdWords accounts, and you're using those hashtags, all those things is to drive that traffic to your page. But when they get there, but if you create a good landing page, you guys know about landing pages? You guys know about that? Okay, I'll skip that part then. All right, so that's that basic stuff. I'm gonna keep it at your level. So you push people to your website. Main thing you should be trying to do is get information or sell them something. Okay, and of course you have things like different analytics. I mean, Google Analytics is old school, but they have other tools now. Google Analytics works great, but tools that allow you to track what happens after you have an email marketing campaign or a social media campaign. You're pushing people to your website, measuring the volume that comes there, conversion rates. Do you guys know about retargeting? You do? No? So it's funny. I said this in a class I did at Hopkins the other day. No one knew what it was. I said, no, well, these are kids. These are students. They're students, right? Exactly. Exactly. And people think that it's God talking to them. I was just thinking about that. This is amazing. Oh my gosh, right? But what it is it's a pixel. All right. So Facebook has a pixel you can put into your website. Google Ads has a pixel. Other organizations like ClickFunnels, things. Essentially, when you do an ad, you see it and you click on it, your IP address is captured, right? And your IP address goes with you everywhere. Okay. So when you click that and you go on that website, it goes, oh, Will Holmes, He's been here before. So then now Will Holmes goes on YouTube, and YouTube is like, oh, they're in cahoots with this whole thing, right? Oh, IP, Will Holmes, boom, let's show him that same ad again. Every time I watch a video, right? Or I go on Facebook, like, geez, go on Facebook, boom, Will Holmes, same ad again, or a different ad that's similar. Like, hey, you haven't bought yet. That's why you're seeing this ad. Yes.
So when I'm noticing that with that picture, let's say someone comes on my website, before I go Facebook ad, let's say I do a Facebook ad. If the person that clicks on that, you know that every time my Facebook ad, the same ad is going to come to that person and do it.
Well, what you can do though, if you don't, yes, if maybe not every time, because it's still, you have other people, they've been to other websites,
Right.
so you're still competing with other places they've been.
But mainly the Facebook ad.
But Facebook ad, did you put your pixel on your website, the Facebook pixel?
No.
So okay, it's free. So you have to go into your Facebook ads. You create it's PIXEL, and in fact, you can watch a video about it. It takes like 2 minutes, right? And then it's just just click a few things. You put in your website address. You have to copy and paste some code into the header of your website. Now, if that's hard for you, if you have you have a WordPress website,
Yes.
so then you can get a plugin that manages, essentially adding things to your header. SSL. I'm not SSL. I'm sorry. Style sheets. Jeez, I can't remember. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sorry about that. The CSS allows you just to easily copy and paste it right into the plugin, and then boom, it's there. You have to actually go into your code.
Okay.
And so what that does is, then you go back to Facebook. It does a little test. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Now I've had trouble putting those in sites that have hardcore security sometimes, and I don't know why. I've had to actually turn it over to other people to fix it. But if you have like a firewall up on your site, it's a secure site, sometimes it doesn't work right away. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. And I don't have an answer for why it doesn't work all the time,
Okay.
but sometimes it does. Like for my site, it's a secure site, and I had to get someone else to do it because I didn't want to take the time to learn. I mean, really, that's what it was. It's just I couldn't take a day to figure it out. So, but it's working now. So once you put that pixel on your site, Facebook will drive, also Instagram will drive. So when they'll see your videos. What you can also do though is have another campaign where you create a list, essentially for people who have gone to your site, so they can see a different video or a different thing. So they're not seeing the same message over and over again. They're like, oh, these are people who've been to this site and they didn't convert. They see something, hey, why didn't you convert or whatever, right? Some kind of different message. And if you, Exactly. So, I mean, all those things that you can use to just drive traffic, and they do work. There's also tools now, a great new tool. It's like $1,000 a month, but what it does is it ties together all of your email marketing, your videos, or anything called ClickFunnels. You ever heard of that? Really good tool, but it's just really expensive. I mean, it's just expensive. But you can. But it's using all these things like your pixels and your email marketing. It ties it together, makes it easy. But you can do these things yourself for much less. Okay. So, but all these tools you can use. It takes a while to figure out, but you want to have a process, a follow-up process for your clients. You have some clients that you meet out and about. You should have a process for when do I call Bianca again? Right? I met her. When do I call her? When do I send her? Let's say she doesn't respond to my call. She doesn't go on when do I send her an email? Is it right away? Do I have a tool like I have an automated tool for setting up calls, and it automatically sends automated emails like 24 hours before, 12 hours before, 4 hours before, 1 hour before. Hey, you have a call with Will. Remember to call in. So there are lots of tools you can use that have automated reminders. You have to figure out how you want to use them and just really configure them properly. So if you're going to meet with someone in person, how do you want that follow-up process to be? All right. Some people will say, I'm going to keep following up with Bianca until she says no. That's what I do. But if I have an automated way to do it, that's possible. But me trying to send her individual emails, that's way too much time. But there are a lot of great tools that'll do that for you. Also, if someone comes to your website, we talked about the pixels so they can get the the videos and such. But what if they come to your website, and that's for people who don't put information in, right? That'll handle that. But what if they put information in on a form on your website? What do? How often do you follow back up with them? When do you? And it's really, I would recommend really as quickly as possible, because now if they're online looking, they're probably if you don't, they're going to put information in, and then they're going to keep searching until they find something. If you get a form comes on your site, a request, I highly recommend contacting them right away, right? Or having an autoresponder that starts to send them messages. It's like almost like, I mean, basically it's AI, artificial intelligence. I mean, it's very low level AI, but it's sending them messages in response to what they say. So that's another piece. If someone and with all these things, we're always talking about a certain level of service you're going to maintain. The higher level of service, usually the more expensive it is, or the more automation you need. But you should be thinking about what's the capacity of my business. So what I mean is, like, I can't take phone calls all day long. I just can't. Like, I'm talking most of the time, right? So when people call the company, it's actually a Google number, and then people get, like, I get an alert, and it transcribes their message, and other people get it, and then either I follow up or someone else follows up. But for my clients, that seems to work, right? But if it's a call center, that's not going to work, right? So you have to think about, for your business, what's the best way? If they're calling in to maybe schedule something for their mom right away, maybe you need someone to answer the phone all the time. Okay, so think about that. And if they answer the phone, you want to have the right skill set of person to do it. That mean, cranky uncle who you can't really understand when he's talking, he should not be answering the phone. Even though he's cheap or free, he shouldn't be answering the phone. You should have someone, if they're going to answer the phone, have the right skill set. If they're going to respond to emails, they should take the time to use grammar check and things like that. You don't need your company represented in a bad way if they're not great at spelling. Okay? So just remember, every single point in your process, every interaction with your customer, is to figure out the level of service you want to maintain, and then have people in the right place to do it. Obviously, these things cost money. So if you can't afford to have people, and you have to do certain things yourself and use automation to fill in the gaps. Okay? And even if you have money, I recommend using automation to fill in the gaps because it helps you to save money. Okay, does that make sense? All right. But having going back to your team and saying, look, here, and usually what I use are stickies. I get a blank wall, and when we go into a company, I get a blank wall. I say, let's map out your process. And if you have a lot of people in your team, and they all play a part, what you're going to find is they're like, oh, I didn't know you did that. Man, well, if you did it like this, that would save me 2 or 3 hours. We do that for a large company. They're shocked how much money they can save just to figure that out. And also, when you see redundancies in your process, you can turn that into, we can automate that. But so go more homework, buy some stickies, map out your process. Okay? All right? And it'll help you to really define, and you might say, look, I can't afford somebody to answer the phone right now, so I need to find something that's cheaper so I can get these calls. All those kinds of things are you just got to map it out. It'll save you time, save you money, and make sure you have good level of service with aha moments. Okay? All right. That's business to business. We're rolling. Anybody have any questions on business to business? 220? Oh, good. Very good. Actually, we're right on time. I allotted 40 minutes for each one. You guys are great. All right, so business to customer. So that's basically the public, individuals. I want you guys to think about your brand. Okay? So a reason why I want you to really think about your brand, like, for example, when I was, my first consulting opportunities were down in D.C. And one thing I realized is down in D.C., there were a million Will Holmeses. Like, you could spit on like 20 consultants. Like, 20 consultants in Scotland, right? 50 attorneys in the same spit. You could hit there were so many people like me down there. So this was like 2006. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Baltimore. I have more connections up here, and like I could take Baltimore. That's exactly what I said. I'm gonna take Baltimore. That's what I said in 2006. I'm gonna take it. I want people to think of business. I want them to think Will Holmes. Now I'm ambitious and very aggressive. So that's what I've been working on for 13 years now. That's what I came back to do because Baltimore was a smaller place. There weren't a lot people weren't talking about business consulting. In fact, at the time, there was this whole uprising of business coaches. And they were people who had never ever had a business before, but they were like, "I'm going to coach you on how to be." I was like, and I was, I used to say I was so angry about it. Like it was like it used to drive me crazy. But that's what was happening at the time. They all fell off. Now they're selling something else or whatever, right? And I'm still doing consulting. And things have gone well, right? But my brand was, when you think business, think Will Holmes. The reason why I had to make it broad at first was because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to sell. But I knew I wanted to be associated with business. I knew I wanted to look like this every day. I knew I wanted to talk about this stuff every day. The reason why I'm asking you to keep it at least broad at first is because you may sell different things to different people. So like right now we sell management and technology consulting to government agencies, banks, nonprofit organizations, universities. We still do work with growing companies, but I really am not doing as much anymore. I'm trying to focus on the big money with bigger customers. You know, our clients now, our biggest clients now are Goldman Sachs. We promote them, as most of you know. Johns Hopkins, we mentor their MBA students. Morgan State, we're about to start a whole curriculum for them. And a few other like nonprofits around. Baltimore County, we've got training programs there. We have a couple banks we do stuff for. So, but all under business. And wherever I go, I'm still saying the same stuff. It's just, they just want me to talk about a certain topic. So for you, and that allows me to make money on different projects, different ways, but I'm still saying the same thing. So for you, I want you to think about what is your umbrella so that you can be government, you can be business to business, you can be business to customer. And to them, I mean, you're speaking their language, but you're talking about the same thing, okay? So also, I want you to think about, and that depending on what you're buying or selling, that may be narrow or it may be wide, I don't know. But you have to think about how are you going to make this money, okay? And so one tool that I highly recommend, especially when you're coming up with your sales goals, is a cash flow statement, okay? A cash flow statement, it looks like, if you've never seen one before, it looks really scary, right? It really, I mean, it's a whole lot of stuff on there, but it's really a budget. And on the bottom part, it's a budget. On the top, it's where you get money, okay? And so what I want you to think about is how can you make your cash flow statement tell a story? And here's what I mean. So on the top, it's going to have, and it's broken up by month. So let's say if you're like, okay, for 2020, I'm going to use me, okay? For 2020 in January, I expect Goldman Sachs to pay me a certain amount per month, okay? I expect Johns Hopkins to pay me a certain amount per month. I expect Baltimore County to pay me a certain amount per month, okay? And as long as I do my normal stuff, that's going to tell me my revenue or whatever, right? And I've got other clients that pay like, here and there. And I've got, small clients, I'll estimate maybe how much I may get. I'll lowball that because that's not a definite contract. So I usually have about maybe like 6 or 7 ways I get money. And so that's the top line. And what it does is it adds up at the bottom how much money is coming in, okay? Then on the underneath that, it's your budget. You can list all the stuff, all your people, all your marketing expenses, all that stuff, right? And then it adds up your expenses. And then whatever's left over is your profit. I mean, that's a really simple way of saying it, but that's really what it is. But then I want you to tell a story with it. So January may be slow for you. Maybe people, it's cold, they don't come out to your events or whatever, right? So maybe revenue's a little lower. Maybe it's not 8,000 or 10,000, maybe it's 3,000. And maybe my expenses for, let's say, for gas and electric are higher because it's cold outside. So I want you to really take some time and think about that. And then what you're going to see is, wow, for me to just cover my expenses, I need to make more money. So I need more sales, right? Like I said, it's just like it just pushes on each other. okay, so that means I need to get somebody else under contract by February, or I'm not going to be able to afford to stay in business, right? Or this contract ends in February. I need to start pushing now on business development. So it really gives you a really simple way to figure out what you need to do. I always say revenue drives behavior. Okay? It gives you a simple way to think about, wow, I need to get more money in. I need to push in these areas so I can hit my goals. Also, you may say, June's coming. I want to expand. What's going to be involved with getting a new location or getting a new truck or getting whatever, right? Or I'm going to start using GovWin, so that's $2,000 a month, right? What do I need to do in order to make that happen? You may have to, and they may even say, well, geez, I want to need a loan because there's no way I can make enough money to buy this new location. So then when you have that talk with your banker, you take your cash flow statement, they'll probably ask for more to actually get a loan, but it's a good conversation starter. Like, look, here's what we're looking at. By June, I only need about $100,000. I'm like, well, okay. Well, here's what I'm going to use it for. It's an informed conversation. And then they'll say, well, let's run your credit. Well, we can't give you 100, we can give you 50. You can use that information, or they may say, oh, we can't give you anything. But maybe in a year, you come back, so then you move that to a year. What do I need to do? Maybe I can save up some money, whatever. You talk to your lender, your investor, or whatever, and you're like, look, what do I need to do to be able to get approved? Your credit needs to be here. Your ratios need to be here. And you can start to really manipulate those things on your own. But that cash flow statement's a really great tool to kind of just look at it all. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Also, you can use that. So then you say, well, look, cover expenses. It's, let's say, $8,000 a month, right? But I don't want to just cover expenses. I want to make money. I want to at least make $20,000 a month, and so I can have like $12,000 in profit, or whatever, right? If I'm going to sell $20,000 worth of stuff, and you get either it's me or my sales team. Like, look, guys, so $20,000. So let's say if you were to make $20,000 in a month, $20,000 in sales, how many things or how many patients do you need to sign up?
Okay. About
Okay. To make $20,000 a month, how many would you have to sell of your stuff? Say again? 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 or 5.
Okay.
Clients, probably, hard to answer. Probably about 4.
Okay.
Yeah. 30.
Okay.
I think that's 30.
Okay. 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 So those are your sales goals. It's just that simple. But it started with planning it out. And then you go to your team, if you have people working for you, you don't tell them 5, you tell them 7. So if they fall short, they may get 7, and you're even better, but if they fall short, you're at 5 and you're good. Okay? And that 5 includes your profit. Okay? You already know what your expenses are, and maybe 1 or whatever. Like 5 allows you to hit your numbers. So then you can be ready in a year, pay off your debts. And that's another thing too. Obviously, you guys know, your credit needs to be in order. Okay? So a part of your cash flow statement, your finances, you should be thinking about, you should run your credit reports. And you should be like, look, I got to pay these guys back. Start paying on time or make payment plans, whatever. Get them to agree to report it as paid as agreed. But that should be a part of your plan too. Enough money to pay back your debts, so that you can. So when you go, your credit scores. You should be monitoring your credit score, all that. So when you actually go, you're not begging for money. You have an informed conversation. You've got a cash flow statement. You know what your credit score is. You've already talked to them, so you know what your ratios need to be. It's like, look, I know my ratios need to be here. They're here. They're here. They're here. I don't have any issues, and I have a new contract, which is a good vehicle to pay this thing back. Lenders want you to reduce risk when you talk to them. They don't want you to be risky. Yes, ma'am.
kind of off subject, but I just how to get 40 points in your credit.
Let's hear this.
That's it.
Is this legal? I'm kidding.
No, clean up the personal information.
Hmm.
So they don't want to see one name, one address, one, your current address, your current employee. So if you pull credit reports, a lot of times they'll have many names, also names, former names, former owners of replacing the credit report. We're not running your credit report. So it's a strategy. You have to call all three bureaus of the State Street. And demand that they remove the information. And the goal for them is to not remove the information. Your goal is to make them remove the information. I promise you 40 points. And you monitor that like twice a year. Just to make sure you keep your 43 points. You get just trying to make sure that you're on. So no different addresses. I had 5 different addresses.
Yeah.
All that up and have it consistent.
I love it. I love it. And your credit, monitoring your credit, managing your credit has to be a part of your strategy. It really, really does. Financial literacy, whatever you want to call it, you gotta manage your credit. Because if you have credit, all the things you talked about are much more possible. So let me tell you, the difference between, like, I have clients who have lots of money and credit and clients who don't have any money. They are no different as far as the ideas they have, the ambition, all that stuff. It's just that clients with no money, one, they can't afford me, so that's good. But two, they can't afford to make mistakes. One mistake, they're done, right? And they can't afford necessarily to pay someone like me to tell them what not to do. So that's their trouble. For a person with money, they can pay someone like me, help them avoid 2 or 3 years of trying to figure it out, right? And if they make a mistake, they can fix it with some money. That's the only difference. Everybody out here is trying to figure out how to get more sales and do better and grow. Everybody. I talk to everybody from billion-dollar companies. Everybody's saying the same thing. Just that when you have a lot of money, you can try different things out. You can make mistakes. You don't have any money, you can't really make too many mistakes. And it takes you longer to grow. When you have money, you can put money towards a new location or hire people, that kind of thing. You don't have any money, you're struggling to bootstrap. It takes you using your profits to reinvest constantly into your company to grow, which means it's just hard to do anything. And then if people are paying you late, you guys are shaking. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys feel good, right? But I want you to understand, part of your strategy, your sales strategy, your profit strategy should be paying back debts, getting your credit together, because then a year from now, you go to the bank, okay, your credit, 620, 680, it's better. We can give you a $5,000 credit line or $10,000. That 5 or 10 grand can cover your expenses for a month while you're waiting for some. That changes the game. It helps you to go after bigger contracts. It totally changes the game. So do not underestimate the value of putting some money aside to get your credit together. Okay? All right, so find a need, fill a need, get paid. It is not about you. Your little ego, if you're like me, my ego could probably fill this entire building. But I squish it down every day. I'll tell you what also keeps me humble, late payments. Let me tell you, late payments, when I'm waiting to get paid, and I'm like, jeez. And I'm like, let me tell you, it's like, I'll have a date scheduled for the 15th. I haven't got paid yet. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, client needs me to be whatever. Okay, baby, whatever. Right? Like, I'm having to cancel things. And then it's like, or then, all right, okay. Okay, I'm not going out to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, rice and beans, until I get paid. It is what it is, right? I don't know if you guys have been there or not, but I have. It happens all the time. Keeps me humble. Keeps me humble. But the reason I want to make sure, I want you to just understand that everybody goes through these things. Everybody. Big and small. Big and small. And it's important to keep it in mind. But it's not about your ego. Whatever you want to sell, it's not about you. Now, there are very few people, very, very few people really in history who created something that no one knew they needed. Like it's very, very few people who create things that no one was asking for. Very, very few. 99% of the time, people are making things that people need or want, right? So I sell cake to fat kids because fat kids love cake. I know the market. I know the product, right? I know these people. They're me. I am these people, right? So I sell cake. I sell cake to them because I know the market well. I know the product well. Okay? I don't sell them vegetables because they don't want vegetables. Okay? They don't want vegetables. Now, someone may say, well, that's terrible. You should sell them vegetables because fat people need to eat more vegetables. Well, guess what? They're not buying vegetables. Right? They're not buying vegetables. But somebody's going to say, I'm going to sell them vegetables because they believe it's the right thing to do and they're passionate and all that. And they may be right. But I listen to the market. But check out what happens. I'm over here selling cake, chocolate cake, German chocolate cake, whatever kind of cake they want. Over here, they're sending them ads on vegetables. And then they may even come up with vegetable cake. Who knows, right? But guess what? By the year or two from now, you convince that market to do that. I already have a distribution model. I already know, like, and trust me. I can be like, hey, guess what? We have vegetable cake. They'll be like, huh? Well, and so, you know, I'm a capitalist. I'm here in business to make money. All right? But I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but that's what I'm about. And so when clients want to hire me to help them sell vegetable cake, if they do, I'm like, well, the market doesn't want that. I can't help you with that. You're not going to make any money doing that. You want to make money, sell the market what they want. Listen to the market. So you have to get out of your head. To get out on the street, you need to talk to your customers. Bureau of Labor Statistics, census.gov, you can go there and get data and demographics and all that. So you can be smart about knowing where people are. So let's say, for example, let's say I'm selling, okay, you said it's daughters age 40 to 55, is that what you said?
40 to 50 daughters,
Okay.
female.
Okay. So I would start off, and I'm sure you probably have, looking at the demographics for different counties to see where these people are, right? And because there's no point in selling, let's say, I don't know where they live, I haven't done the research, but let's say we find that there's a lot of them in Catonsville, okay? But there's not a lot of them, let's say, in Canton, right? So if you start marketing in Canton, you're not gonna, because you want to be in Canton, because your ego says, well, I want to be in Canton by the water, it's going to be dope, a cool office, versus everybody's in Catonsville, they're not going to come to Canton to come sign up for your services. So you use this, census.gov, to figure out where people are, that demographic, all right? So you can be where they are. That's the important part. You want to be where your customers are looking. You're not forcing them to make a change to buy your product or service. You're not making it. You have to make it easy for them to buy from you and to see you. You want to be where they are. So it's important to know where they are so you can be there. Then you sell them what they want. And the way you figure that out is you talk to them. So let's say, all right, who likes cake? Who here likes cake? All right? All right. So let's do a little my target. Very easy. So you like cake? So let me ask you, would you want to buy a cake whole or slices? Slices by design? How would you want to deal with it? Would you actually have a and how would you want to order it? Do you want to order it online? Website or okay, so let me ask you, how much if you know it's going to be delivered? So if you deliver this towards yourself, it costs like $2. If you want to deliver it, it costs like 7 or 8. That's the best chunk of cookie. How much would you pay? How much So how did you deliver? How much did you pay?
More than 30%.
So then now, right? I know I can't do that. Before I even try and build my website and all that, because for 50 cents, because let's say I get a slice of cake, just let's say it costs me $2 to get a slice of this chocolate cake or to make it or whatever. Obviously, it's gonna be cheaper now, but just for the purpose of this simple conversation. But I know I need to be around like 6 or 7 for me to make a profit, so I can. So I did my cash flow statement, so I know, right? I can't sell to him. Or maybe not even I can't sell to him, so I go to the next person.
My cake is $6 anyway, because I can't do
Ooh. See, I told the customers, I have a whole, I can go back over. And the living. So by talking to your potential customers, you get all, not only either one, it kills certain ideas, so you have to spend a lot of money to try and figure out stuff that's not going to work. Also gives you new ideas because they're going to tell you what they want. I'll say, hey, where are you getting cake from now?
Sweet 47 and Harmony Bakery.
If you could make one thing you could make better about each of those,
The convenience. Remington.
want like maybe have it delivered like once a week? Cost like a subscription?
Oh, see. Ideally, yes, but discipline, no. I maybe once in 2 weeks.
Okay. I asked some questions of the customers. Now I have a whole idea for my whole distribution model, my frequency. I could even know per customer I'm going to get about maybe 2 sales a month. So now I've got my sales goals, my revenue goal, all from talking to customers. And I do that before I spend money on business cards, websites, and all that.
I'm sorry, I was free.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I overthink, but usually people don't know they need, it's a triggering event.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's walking around looking for a home care, like, oh yeah, that's not. Like, somebody's falling, somebody's doing surgery, somebody's on a bill, or whatever, they can't take care of themselves. So, it's like.
You have to make friends with the people involved with those triggers. And that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So, hospitals, ambulances, people who go to their houses to clean up, and others, any of nursing homes. But then also, so that's part of the strategy, right? And figuring out a way to incentivize them in some kind of way to send you referrals. Having events with them, then there's a proactive side. You have your target market. Maybe it's creating some kind of group or sponsoring events where these people go to, so they can see your logo. So like the same way, like when you bought a car, what kind of car did you buy? Like an Accord. You probably you didn't just see like one ad for Honda Accords that day and you went and bought it, right?
No, I had a
Okay. So you had a previous experience and also lots of Honda and Acura ads, right? So you have to remember back to being where they are. And it's not easy. What I'm saying is not easy. But you have to figure out your target customers. You need to be in their face all the time. So when they think, it's like when you think business, think well home, right? When they think home healthcare, they know it's coming, right? When it actually happens and they're all set, that company, I keep seeing home care health, home care home care. See, it has to be a tip of the tongue, and that's hard to do. So, but it's one. And one thing I try and do is I try and make it so that people, like when people, let me tell you what I love. When someone says, I was looking for somebody to help and I heard your name 3 times. Like for me, I'm like, Oh, it's working. You know me well. Yes, sir. 15? All right. So, but hearing my name 3 times is like Geico on the radio, on the television, on Facebook, in places where my customers are looking. Okay? And it's hard to do, but these strategies we talked about is the basis, the foundation for that strategy. So let me tell you about a communication strategy. This right here, I know it's not on the agenda. I don't know if I have time to talk about it, but since we're good on time. This right here, money in the bank. I'm going to talk to you about money in the bank, right? I'm going to use you as an example. So for your customers, you have to be where they are all year long. So how do you do that? So let's say it's women. So like this is breast cancer month, right? So you look at your calendar for the next 12 months. You need to have a communication strategy by week, a monthly theme, and then by week with events built in. So for example, for March, okay, you're going to be a sponsor for the breast cancer awareness walk. Okay, so they see your logo. And they're like, oh, shoot, home health, there they are again. And then October, November, let's say you're having an event, you're giving out turkeys, and once again, home health, but these people, and you're asking them to be volunteers. You know, hey, this is a call out to mothers in the Baltimore County area. We really want you to come and volunteer to give out turkeys to the homeless or whatever, right? So that you are once again building a relationship. Okay, December, holidays. So maybe if your target market is mostly Christian, certain things to do with them. If they're mostly Jewish, certain things to do with them. Muslims, certain things to do with them. Be where they want to be. Make it easy for them to build a relationship with you. Okay? I also want to say this too. With that, you have to realize that the world is not fair. Okay? People like to do business with people they know, like, and trust, but often they like to do business with people who look like them. And that's okay. You know, that's why you open up Ebony magazine and it's a black guy driving the Lincoln. You open up the another magazine that maybe the Caucasian people read, and it's a white guy driving the Lincoln. Same vehicle, different to appeal those different markets. That's okay. It's not racist. That's just real. Okay. So the reason it's important to think about that is that if you're advertising, maybe they don't want to see your face. Okay. Maybe they want to see someone that looks like them. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? Not everybody wants to see me. So you don't have to I want to go to this training or whatever, right? But some people do. Some people don't. It's okay. It doesn't hurt me as long as I get paid. Or maybe it's not me I send. Maybe it's Miguel because Miguel speaks Spanish and I want to target the Hispanic community. He's going to have an easier time. That's just strategic. That's not racist. That's just business. So I'm saying this is reality, okay? I work with clients, it's like, look, maybe you're not the right person to go and represent your company. You gotta think about that. That's just real. If you want this money or not, it's up to you. But sometimes people's ego gets in the way. Or, or maybe women, they're like, hey, we're old guys and we don't think that women are whatever enough to do this. That's terrible to say, but that's, but those are people that buy from you. Maybe you can send some old guy. It's just, that old mean uncle, right? He finally comes in handy. So, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just want you to understand that when you build your sales team, you build your strategy, you got to think about these are, remember, people. And people react to things in different ways. So the ads you send to them, it has a diverse, look at this, look at this. I love this. Where are we? Those are I think this moves, right? Yeah. Look at that. Diverse. Because we're the diverse chamber. Everybody else has a specific type of person, right? Diverse. We want people to know, hey, and the thing is, people may not even notice, but if you look at our ads, When we put pictures out, all types of people, right? We're diverse. We want people to know that. But other clubs, like in the organizations, they're not. And they put out pictures that look like them. And that's okay. It's a really easy way to let people know what to expect. And they can feel comfortable. All right? That's what I think.
After coming to one of your trainings at insurance, I immediately went home because I'm relocating and I'm doing commerce where I'm relocating. So I immediately went home and pulled them up. And it was a different community. And I was like, oh, am I going to be the only one? But I will be the one. Because the entire advertisement was all of my beige cousins. I'm your brown cousin. And I was like, wow, well, I'll be the one. So I know diversity is very, very important, but I don't mind, stepping over and being the one.
No, I don't mind either. But some people do. And they have green money. I want them to buy.
That's what I say, it's green.
I want them to buy.
But, you in this area, when it comes to home care specifically, most of the people who are providing care in a home are of, African American culture or African culture. So I don't see me being the face of, it's not like, a Caucasian who says, hey, my mom needs some type of surveillance or meal preparation. That person going to their home to do that most likely will be non-white.
Right.
So I don't see that issue with you actually being a face. But I get what you're saying. Sometimes strategy you just have to.
Like when I was some IT directors, they didn't want to talk to me. But pretty blonde, and I'm being very honest. Pretty blonde walks in, no appointment, nothing. They would just see her. And so I would send her.
I was on diversity because of the soft skill training that I went through. And one of the things I learned, diversity is not just color.
Right.
Diversity also can also be education. One person, somebody raised on a farm, and somebody like myself raised in the city. So we're different, and we do the same color. So diversity is not just different colors, it's diversity is.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
To me, I think all the diversity needs to be at the table, all tables. Not just color, because they're the same.
I would agree with that, but some of my customers don't.
No.
And I need them to pay me on time.
Yeah, that's right. That's my perspective, but if they don't feel that way, that's fine. But I just think you get a better insight.
I agree. I just want to sell cake to fat kids. So as we come up with just a few minutes left, I think we've touched on the importance of one, knowing your customer really well, getting past your ego, how to set sales goals, right? They're based in numbers, based in profit. We've talked about the kind of technology you can use to do these things to support all that. And what I'm going to wrap up with is just a little bit more on the sales. The communication strategy, because this is probably one of the best things I can leave you with. If you plan out the next year and you tie it to events that put you in front of your customer, okay, by month, if you then by week even go as far as to figure out the words you're going to use as far as in your Facebook posts, your email blasts, etc., that tie into the theme. Like, for example, Breakfast with the Mayor, that's happening this week, right? What we really should have done is probably started like in January with, I'm sorry, this is October, let's say August, 3 or 4 months in advance. Hey, this is happening. This is a big event for us, right? But we didn't. I'm just being we didn't. Sponsor organization, it took time. We had a transition of executive directors, took time, right? And we had to get the mayor to agree on a date, took time. So, but for you, if you're like, look, these are the types of things that where I need to be so I can be in front of my customers. These are the events I should sponsor. And also don't blow sponsor money. You should make sure you get what you need to get in front of those customers, and it really allows you to do that. You have a strategy for, okay, maybe on Monday you're talking about future things. Hey, don't forget, 3 months from now, this big gala is happening. This big event is happening. Or you're using your platform and your followers to not only promote what you're doing, but also your partners. So let's say you're partnering with, going to be a partner with the Breast Cancer Association, right? So then you take it upon yourself. Hey, look, do you guys mind if I advertise your event for you? Sure. What does that do? It creates a relationship, right? But also puts you in front of potential customers, if that's your target market. So if you can find ways to build partnerships and help promote their stuff it also gives you another reason to talk to your target customer. 2, to have a calendar that has what you're going to be talking about, your monthly themes, what you're going to say in your social media, your email blast. It allows you to have a very fluid conversation with your potential customers. It gives you a really strong, consistent message out in the community. And you're not scrambling every Sunday night to come up with what you're going to post tomorrow. No, I'm not even talking about Wednesday. I'm talking about just tomorrow. Okay? So, I'll end on that. You have any questions? No? That was it?
Realistically, from your opinion, how long does it take to build a sustainable business?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I don't even have an answer for that. I think it's not time, it's mindset. Because it's not, I mean, various factors. Oh, yeah, definitely industry. Yeah, but I'll tell you, it's the mindset. It's like once I change your mindset to think globally or nationally, or that, I need to be doing these things, and these things are important too, not just building, like people usually are like, I'm going to build my company, I'm going to build my website, I'm going to get my business cards, I'm going to start talking to people. Like no. Like it's a lot more involved than that. Like even before they even get insurance or whatever, right? Or whatever, they don't have a real business name, have a chosen business entity, they're going to build their website, get their business cards. Once they actually get people to think about things in a holistic way, that it involves one, taking their ego out of stuff, focusing on what the customer wants and selling cake to fat kids. When they start thinking like that, and partnerships and building a team and building capacity, thinking about long term, once people start thinking like that, that's when their business grows. That's when it grows, no matter what the industry. Yes, sir.
Just a quick housekeeping, we're running out of time. Please make sure that I check you in because 3 of you will receive one-on-one business coaching from Mr. Holmes. If you are members, it will be 2 hours. If you are not, it will be 1. So please make sure that I check you in. Oh, yeah. Me too, I
So that's it. Thank you all very much.
know.